Well, a fucking note to self. Do not use anything from History Channel. Wow. We were fine until I played that. Actually, wow. That is note to self. It had to be them. They struck me, took it down. So I'll have to see if I can edit that stream up until that point. Which, okay, cool. Lesson learned. Never mind, it's fair use. And I've got that in my description in everything because all of my Friday streams were getting claimed. Because, all the girl streams are just fellow YouTubers. And, we all share and promote each other's streams and works. And, the Friday night streams, pulling from various non-Gore World sources, of course, they were all getting copyright claimed, which is fine. I'm not monetized, but then I don't get credit for any of the views, which kind of sucks. But once I started putting the fair use disclaimer in my description, that didn't happen anymore. So, yeah, fuck you, History Channel. What the hell, man? Rude. Fucking rude. Thank you, Hammond. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for coming back over here. Shadow hair. That just... Oh, sorry, guys. That's just... It's been one of those nights. I'm like... And then I leave my room to help take Jasper out, and I got to deal with that whole mess, which... Fucking God... Okay, so I have 2 other videos we can watch. I'm going to give people a minute or 2 to figure it out and get over here. I also tweeted out part 2. So, yeah, they've got... I know there's a system where it's like a whole bot thing. So, okay, cool. We'll never use anything from history again. You fucking suck. That is ridiculous. Share Bear. I don't know. Could have been, but next time I have a little thing. I want to change it up and make it a little more fun and longer. It'll be something easy that I can learn from using Clipchamp. And I know Filmora Wondershare has a free version, but unbeknownst to me, I discovered the other day that Clipchamp is already on my laptop. So trying to learn some basic editing through there. And I want to make a fun little... Like, I needed to take a break and get up and walk around, or I've got to let the dogs out, or I heard a crash in the living room and I've got to go see what it is, or I just need to take a break and have a smoke and go pee, video situation type deal moment. And I used Canva, which is a great app, by the way. That's how I make all my thumbnails and stuff. But I made this little thing. It's 10 seconds long, but I can loop it. There's no sound to it. It'll just be whatever background music I have. And I need to get rid of this one because Tragic uses the same thing, and don't. In fact, I'm just going to delete it out of here. Delete video. It's one of those nights. And I can hear the people next door coming and going because... they've got to go in and out of the gate because we have a fence around, everything, and they can't close it lighter at night or early in the morning. It's just slam it open, slam it shut. So I did get a harmonica with that xylophone I ordered. And I was like, oh, every time that I'm going to have to get an inexpensive tambourine. That's fedora shtick. I will not use that on stream, but I will use it every time I hear my neighbors slam their gates open and close because, again, fucking rude. But, whatever. I'm the rude one. I'm rude because I honked my horn until you assholes came out and moved the big pickup truck that was double parked behind your car, impeding upon my ability to leave my parking spot, which is the equivalent of somebody parking in your driveway or across your driveway. But again, asshole Bob, unit owner, does not tell his tenants, hey, you can't act like a douche canoe and there's rules here you have to follow. No. It's giving entitlement. Go fuck yourself. Good job procreating. I'm sure that kid's gonna grow up to be Chantel or Niggs or, God help us, another YTR. I'm sorry, I'm crabby right now. Kelly Jean, oh my God, Kelly. History Channel knocked my string down. You're listening. Don't back down. You got this, baby. You know where to find me later if you're up. Send me the back signal. I just might. I think I could use a little conversation after I'm done with stream. So, yeah, that would be amazing. Kelly Jean is amazing, you guys. She's a great friend. Never so much, Kelly Jean. So, and just a heads up, I have a lot of moderators, especially for my tiny channel. And I'm going to go through my moderator list and I need to make some adjustments. And I might unmod some people for now, right? Just based on don't take it personally. You'll get your wrench back once I get a little bigger, but I am going to be going through that. So just FYI. All right. Let me see what else I have because History Channel can actually go fuck themselves. We're going to remove this from the playlist so I don't even accidentally click on it. Good Lord. All right. You know what? We're going to watch this. This is from that channel, The Witch's Cookery. Here, let me copy her channel link and put it in the chat. We're going to watch this. It's 20 minutes long. So that's a nice little chunk. So here is the channel link for, let me type it out too. It's, oh, Jasper. Oh, that Previcox makes him so gassy. It's the Witch's Cookery. Okay. Oof, big boy, stinky bat. Oh my God, poor thing. Okay, let me turn off this music. And you know what? Actually, we're gonna do a smidge of comic relief. Just cause, you know, I love my comic relief. Oh, yes. Okay. So let me get to share my screen. This might summon our Hecate because this is her favorite. And this is Frank, his channel is in my description under Comic Relief. So we're gonna do this. We'll do a little bit of Comic Relief. Okay. So we are sharing. Yes, 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 yes. This is good. I love he started this whole his creepy Dave with the vulture. Again, this is going to breathe new life into his channel. I'm so excited. The Frank is OG YouTube. So yes, this is the creepy Dave with the lionesses.
That is Creepy Dave, Animal Show. Okay. Lionses is probably like my favorite animals. There is two kinds of lionses. One kind of look like a cat. The other one looked like someone dressed up like a cat, like for a party. But then could only afford the mask. Anyway, it's sad because they are endangered. Maybe they fall in holes or the people eat them. Just don't eat them. Then they come back. Anyway, Lions is called King of the Jungles. I mean, that's a pretty crappy jungle right there. And there's like no trees. Looks like the jungle you get when you're like buying a hamburger and someone come up and say, "Hey, you want to buy a jungle? Meet me in the parking lot." And this is what you get. Crappy jungle. Creepy Dave.
Endangered.
Creepy Dave.
It's Creepy Dave.
Okay,
I like.
It's cool, right? Forehand. Backhand. Forehand. Backhand.
Me as a bird.
And forehand. Backhand. Forehand. Backhand. And finish. It's pretty cool, right? I teach myself, like this move, it's hard. You gotta practice, like a lot of practice. You have to stretch. Tippy toes, tippy toes. It feels good. Oh, that's nice. Oh, who's that?
It's so good.
That's annoying. Why don't you come down here, bird? Maybe talk or punch to the face. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's taller than me. Maybe up here. Yeah, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand, forehand. Yeah, it's pretty cool being me. Here comes Creepy Dave.
The original.
Everybody.
Dave.
Everybody call me Creepy Dave. Hey, crows. Okay, it's too much crows. Wait, who's that? All right. Okay. Here comes the Creepy Dave. That's what people call me. How you doing? Okay, you walk away. Uh-oh. Creepy Dave made a pee-pee. It's everywhere. Whoopsie. Creepy Dave.
Creepy Dave. All right, let's get into what will be our final video by the Witch's Cookery. I'm going to share this tab instead.
Hi, lovelies, and welcome.
Do this. Okay. Let's check the quality. 1080 speed, normal. Okay, cool. She's up. And remember, have your chat on all messages, and you can control the volume on your end as well if she's a little loud via whatever device you are on. If it's loud for everybody, I can always turn her down a little bit on my end. You guys let me know. All right. The Witch's Cookery. Oops, I should. You know what? We're going to subscribe while I'm here, and we're going to like the video. All right, let's go.
Welcome to the Witch's Cookery. Today we're talking Wicca, witchcraft, and paganism. What's the difference? What did the historic terms mean? What do we mean when we talk about it in a modern day context? And of course, we're also going to clean up with some misconception and misinformation that is out there. Now, a lot of beginner witches are very confused. Are all witches Wiccan? Are witches even pagan? What is the difference? And how can you tell what you are or what to follow? Of course, how a practitioner, in fact, in her daily life, practices.
She's adorable. I love her energy. I love her accent. I love her smile. I will be binge watching her videos, I feel. And yeah, I didn't watch this, but when I saw it, I did get like positive vibes. And I was like, ooh, we'll add that one.
Is there witchcraft, Wicca, or paganism varies widely from person to person. But if you want to have a little bit more of an idea of active practitioners, I did an interview with two other lovely magical YouTube ladies, Ella Harrison and Scarlett Ravenwoods, and we had a long chat about how our own personal practice looks like. And I posted an interview a while ago. If you have some time, treat it like a podcast, fold some laundry, or clean your house while you're listening in. So let's deep dive right into what I personally practice, which is witchcraft. Witchcraft, as is already in the name, is a craft, a practice, something that you do. It doesn't necessarily describe a belief system, it's not a religion. It basically means multiple skills, practices, or interests under one hat.
Ooh, I like the way she describes that. I think that's a very good way to describe it because yeah, like even now and when I was practicing Wicca or witchcraft, um yeah, you're not like it's not like your traditional, quote unquote religion where it's like you're praying to God, you're praying to Jesus, Allah, that kind of stuff. Um how do I want to word? I'm trying to find my words. I would reach out to or like direct my intent towards, if you want to call it source, the universe, just kind of generally put them out there and sort of like throwing dust into the wind and letting it go. I'm gonna let her play a little bit more and then I will describe the couple of spells I did, and I also want to touch on witchcraft is definitely gaining popularity right now in the past couple of years, and there's a lot of stuff I see on like Reddit, and it's oh my god, yeah, I've got some thoughts.
Pointy one, if you will. And how those skills, interests, or practices look like will vary from person to person. As witchcraft is a
And it's just how do they look? I don't know where this is suddenly coming from with the how it looks like. It's just how it looks. It grammar, English, but I digress.
umbrella term for all types of folk beliefs, folk traditions, practices from all over the world. There is no one way to practice witchcraft. A lot of the things that you see flying around magical corners of the internet are derived from folk superstitions and a modern interpretation of those. For example, the historical finds of witch bottles on properties has led to what we now know as spell jars. What the German nun Hildegard von Bingen wrote down about healing crystals and how to incorporate them in her medicinal practice, we now know.
Just want to make a note right here. Crystals are, I know there's crystal magic, there's candle magic, there's all different kinds of quote unquote magic you can do, right? Crystals in and of themselves, whether being used and integrated into spells, your magic, whatnot, you just like them, have them around, wear them. They are very complex and intricate, more than people know or believe. You need to charge them, you need to cleanse them. Each crystal sort of has its own vibe, its own personality, if you will. And they're amazing and they're wonderful, but shit can go south real quick with crystals. And everybody's so quick to be like, oh, I want to get a rose quartz because it's love, or I want to get an obsidian because of this or that, or really do your research, especially if you're going to integrate them into any sort of energy work, witchcraft, and such. Understand, really look into, understand what crystals are, the care that they require. Think of it as like it's no different than you want to get a dog and it's your first dog and you're like, oh, wow, a Belgian Malinois sure is cute. I think I'll get that. Yeah, no, just crystals. crystals are a lot. Please do your research, and if you do have them and you're not aware of it, please look into it. Please go to your local witchy shop or crystal shop and talk to somebody there, because yeah, again, that shit can go south real quick.
Or as crystal witchcraft, or use in our daily lives for our magical practice to call in certain energies. It's folk traditions such as placing your broom behind a door or strewing salt over your stoops, lighting a black candle during stormy nights, and all that jazz. Things that people did and that got taken and newly interpreted for our modern life and our needs. So what you understand as witchcraft depends completely on your cultural context, on your knowledge background, on the continent you grew up at, the traditions that you got passed down, and probably also a general level of historic knowledge and culture. And the scale here really goes in all.
Again, which is why when I was researching for this and now just in general, I have gotten a lot of videos, what witchcraft is like in Romania, what witchcraft is like, in this country, in this culture. And I've already started a playlist and we'll be covering that one day. This Wednesday, I'll tell you what Wednesday's stream topic is at the end of this one.
All directions, from a bit of tarot reading for self-reflection to full-blown animal sacrifices. Every practitioner is different, every culture is different. So what do most Western modern-day witches understand under the term witchcraft? It's mostly a very nature-focused practice involving lunar cycles, for some involving astronomical constellations, celebrating the seasons, self-reflection, self-development, helping your life along with some sort of rituals, spell work, mindfulness, intentional living, studies of occultism that have passed down from the Renaissance era. Again, it's really quite diverse and very personal who one person practices. I linked your video up above about different types of witches that might shed some more information and light on the entire topic. In itself, witchcraft doesn't have any religious connotations, affiliations. It's completely secular, meaning free of religion. It's worldly. So you can just incorporate it into your life regardless of your personal beliefs or non-beliefs in religion. Of course, there are also
I really like the way she phrases that. She has a really good energy.
religions or some sort of belief systems that do incorporate witchcraft or witchcraft practices, Santeria, Hoodoo, Wicca, Catholicism. They all dabble in the metaphysical, trying to evoke things, change things, banish things. I did talk more about these in my beginner witchcraft videos that I will link you up here and down below in case you're a new witch wanting to learn more about your magical abilities and the craft. Now, how we use the term witchcraft in modern day is nothing what witchcraft described back in the days. Essentially, I'm talking anything before the 19th century. If you look at the etymology of the word witchcraft, it comes probably from the Old English Wicke, which means magician or sorceress, or the Low German term Wiccan, meaning to witch, to hex, to influence. Witchcraft back in the days was
Practical Magic is one of my top 5 all-time favorite movies, and I love that scene with Sandra Bullock and Evan Rachel Wood as her daughter, and she hexes them, and she's like, "I hope you get chicken pox." Oh, I love that movie. I've probably seen it 150 times. It's great.
a evil thing, a bad thing, and no one in the right mind would have called themselves a witch, just because in the understanding of the world it didn't mean anything positive. Witchcraft was the reason behind big storms that would destroy the harvest, or when your cow got sick, when you had the shits or the smallpox or whatever. And as we know, in many countries in Europe we had the witch hunts, the witch trials, and for some reason, and I do blame fictional books and TV, people always assume that people that were hunted or titled as witches were some wise herbal women. Not true. Not in the slightest. If you read the historic documents, there were, for example, pub owners that got accused by the other pub owner because they sold more beer. Witch! It's all doing the dirty with the devil on that mountain, riding her broom. Naggy wives accused by their husbands because they made a noodle go limp. Witchcraft! There were business rivals, love rivals, people that were a little bit odd, that were outcasts of society, not because they were wise or they knew how to do stuff with herbs, just because people now had an easy way to get rid of people they didn't like. It's also not true that it was only women that were prosecuted. There were definitely men too that were titled witches, there were children, and it also went through all levels of society. By the way, on the topic of the witchy herbalist midwife, most of the correspondences that we now in Western society know for our magic uses, the sympathetic magic as it's titled, most of the knowledge about crystal was actually derived from written documents from nuns and monks in cloisters, not so much from the village hack. Even though, of course, people also knew how to use the things that grew around them because that's literally how they survived and treated stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, different countries will have a different history with witchcraft. And for example,
what she held up reminds me of pink Himalayan salt. Fun fact, that comes from, it's mined in, is it, if you read the bottle, it actually comes from Pakistan. I watched this whole like documentary on where it comes from, how it's mined. It's very interesting. I'll see if I can find it and I'll share it. But yeah, those guys are making absolute bank because then you've got the like salt tablets, the salt lamps, which I have one and I need to find and get it going again. Yeah, pink Himalayan salt's the whole thing. If you want to use it, cool, but there's actually no like extra benefit to it like many believe there is, but I don't know. Like it's cool, but yeah.
the Salem witch trials had a very different socio-economic reasoning behind it. People would actually refer to themselves as a witch. If you want to know more about that, if you want to.
And also, hi Charity McPherson, welcome in to the second part and continuation of the stream. History Channel took down my first one.
See a video of a really deep dive into that history, let me know. Unfortunately, we still see it in a lot of developing countries or countries that are still very rural, foster that environment for superstitions and for that sort of belief. For example, kids that are born with some sort of physical handicap are often titled witches and they're just cast out at like infancy and they have to fend in the streets for themselves and are like looked down on by the entire village because people fear them.
In certain parts of Africa, albino children are seen as witches, and it is beyond sad. And those poor kids, they don't understand it. There's a channel I watch where this guy has this charity organization. I think it's called the Rise Up Society. And he's like a doctor and stuff, and he travels all around. I forget what area of Africa it is, but they have these sand flea things called jigas, Jiggas, and they're sand fleas. And people walk around barefoot, and these sand fleas get into the soles of their feet. They lay eggs and the eggs grow, and it like people can't walk, their feet are messed up. So he through donations goes around and will spend an entire day with his volunteers that are trained literally cutting these sand fleas out of the soles of people's feet, and it's really intense. And there's a guy that has another channel. He's a veterinarian also in Africa. There's like it's dogs, and it's these certain type of worms, and they bite them and like lay their eggs, and you have to pull them out. It's a lot, but I watch that kind of stuff because I'm a weirdo, and like if trypophobia is a thing, I have the opposite, and I love extractions.
as witches. So I never quite understood why people would bring modern day witchcraft even in relation with the old witches, historic witches, because in the end these people didn't witchcraft, they didn't call themselves witches. Might even go so far to call it a tiny bit disrespectful to the ones that were tortured and killed. But it's just my own opinion though. Yeah. You do what you want. So when did the term witchcraft shift from a negative to positive? Well, it was mainly during the Renaissance, when the rich and the famous dabbled in occultism, dabbled in alchemy, were interested in numerology and how the universe worked in a metaphysical sense, in a way they couldn't really explain, but they tried to make sense of it. They wanted to increase their own power. In some ways, it was also self-development. And by then, any types of rituals, invocations became very in. But then only really with the rise in popularity of Wicca, witchcraft also became its modern day meaning. If you're from a country with a rich old history, you will still see it in the older generations that they do practice some folk beliefs, some folk traditions. The modern day witch would title witchcraft, but they don't title it themselves that. It's just what people always have done. It leads us straight into our next talking point. What is Wicca? Wicca is a religion that revolves around nature worship. Wicca is a religion that revolves around nature worship. Wicca
Oh,
is a
she's so cute.
Attention kids! My Latin
Girl,
teacher in high
same.
school always used to do
Same.
that. Kinder, attention! Anyway, Wicca is a religion that revolves around nature worship. Wicca is a religion.
I love that she left this in, but she can edit it out where I'm just stuck on live stream when my brain stops or I lose focus from whatever's causing it at that time. And oh, you guys suffer through it with me. And again, I appreciate you so much. Please remember to thumbs up this stream too. History. God, I'm so irritated. I should have known better. But yeah, please hit the thumbs up, share, like, comment after this goes up and all that stuff. Thank you so much.
Oh god, now we lost it completely. Wicca is a religion that revolves around nature worship and the idea of a divine feminine and masculine god, goddess, and a duality in nature. And it's actually a recognized religion in many countries.
I think that is something that's something that's been lost in today's society. Is if you look throughout the universe, right, just life, whatever, everything balances in some way, to some extent, in some aspect. Everything has a natural balance. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? You know what I mean? And I think that that's a universal law. Ooh, I need to write that down. Need to go into future stream topics. Universal laws. And by universal laws, I also mean things like there's just it's what the name implies, universal laws. I've had to use them and invoke them at times when I've had things attached to me without my knowledge or consent. Also, I guess you could call my house sort of like an interstellar galactic interdimensional. It's like a rest stop. My one friend can vouch for this. I don't know if she's currently in the chat. It is 12:52 a.m. her time. But hey, girl. Hey, Zero. How you doing? She can vouch for this. Yeah, my house is like an intergalactic rest stop, and I always have a lot of various beings, entities, and whatnot. A lot of little ones. Because I don't Nothing negative or malignant or ill-intentioned is welcome in my home, in my energy, around me, or my dogs, or whatever. But I didn't want to. I didn't. I. don't- I don't care if like a neutral or a good energy, a good nature being wants to like come and hang out or stop and chill. And a lot have actually opted to stay, whether permanently or for an extended period of time. So, anybody who's sensitive or can read read from afar, you're welcome to read my little house because it's quite interesting. It's like a little, what's that? It's like a pilot or a flying J for a lot of different beings. Yeah, quite interesting. I've had some fun ones.
Countries such as Canada, the United States, and England. So where did it all start? At the beginning of the 20th century, there was actually a revival and a great interest in old religions, in witchcraft, in folk practices, in the occult, and many cultural anthropologists played back and forth.
And keep in mind, all that the word occult means is like hidden knowledge. That's all it means. It doesn't, if something is of the occult, it does not mean it's inherently bad or negative.
Both the idea of witch cults in Europe. So they did believe that there were some secret societies of witches, of covens. Very interesting topic. Won't go too deep into it because it's also proven false. It was not the case. But there was a English dude named Gerald Gardner, and he thought, wow, that sounds interesting. Hereditary witches that can do all the magic. Can't see that. In 1939, he got himself initiated into a coven, a New Forest coven. If that is correct, we are not quite sure. There is some speculation about if that was only his imagination or something that he made up, or if that really happened, because he didn't really give much information on it, but he said it's to protect their privacy. Anyways, he then said that this coven taught him a lot of ancient knowledge, and then he kind of muddled it a little bit with ideas from Buddhism, Hinduism, the old European religions, and mixed it into his own flavor of belief. For example, the 8 Sabbats, the Wiccan Sabbats, are derived from actual rural festivities that took place all over Europe under different names. He chose, of course, the island Celtic descriptors or similar to that. He wrote a Coven's Book of Shadows. He also tried to make a go with the Wiccan laws that he said were passed down from ancient wisdom, but people were like, no, you made it up, dude. We won't buy. Probably went down a little bit like Moses on that hill with his 10 testaments. But anyway, he basically founded his own religion. Other people became interested in it and gave it their own spin. So his original idea is now referred to as Gardnerian Wicca, and you also have Alexandrian Wicca from another English dude, Alexander's. You have the more feministic approach, Dianic Wicca, and so on and so forth. But then, of course, with so many cooks stirring the pot, there is a ton of flavors and a ton of opinions. Some say you have to be initiated into Wicca. Some say you can initiate yourself. Say you have to practice in a coven. Others say you can also practice solitary. There's some sort of debate on how long you actually have to learn in order to call yourself a Wiccan, or what the hierarchy might look like. But one,
I hate that. I hate that crap. Don't gatekeep this. Don't, like with anything, it takes time to learn, to become proficient. Even, to find your style, your vibe. I've noticed that a lot of witches tend to prefer and gravitate towards certain types of magic. Uh, some some prefer crystal magic, candle magic. You can do herbal magic. Like there's a lot of specific types of magic, and then there's just general. And I I follow quite a few subreddits concerning witchcraft, spell casting, and stuff. Even though I haven't been an active practitioner in a long time, I might get back on it because I don't know. I can see I'm gonna have to be casting some spells or doing some stuff here soon in the future. Just because. And I feel more balanced because practicing practicing Wicca for me really helps to remind me and motivate me to do things that balance me more. And keep in mind, I'm a Libra. I'm a middle of the month Libra. I am October 16th. um, with Scorpio influence, so that's fun to deal with. But it reminds me to pay attention to more things around me as far as nature is concerned, the universe, the stars, myself, the energies more, all that stuff. And yeah, I get it. It's like, especially when it comes to something like witchcraft or Wicca, I'm just going to use the term witchcraft to kind of refer to both right now. Um, I would speak up and sort of, and still do in some of the subreddits because there's like three things I'm like, ooh, number one, your own spells are always going to be more effective and powerful. Start your own, get like a really cool, because it's fun, like you have your style and stuff. I would find like a really cool, just blank inside, um, like journal situation type deal moment that really is your aesthetic or that you like, and start your own book of shadows. And I started mine. It got lost in the divorce. I think it got put in the wrong box, which breaks my heart. But I not only wrote down spells in it, the few that I did, I wrote down different as I learned and was going along, I would write down a lot of things are symbolic in witchcraft, like you want to use a red candle for love. Um, you want to use green for money, that kind of thing. I would write down sort of like as a quick reference um what different uh herbs and just oils, how to basic how to's on, like, okay, I need to make a type of holy water. I need to make an oil to use in my spells, which are two of the most prominent and important things you'll do, especially because not only some spells require a specific phase of the moon, like when you're trying to draw or bring something towards you, you want to do it in the waxing cycle of the moon. When it's getting bigger, go towards before the full moon, right? Because you want to draw something to you. You want something to grow. And some spells require you during specific times of the moon's cycle. So the waning moon is after the full moon, as it's getting smaller. That's when you would typically perform spells to get rid of something, like say if I want to try and get rid of these asshole neighbors next door, I would need to do it during the waning cycle of the moon. I think I'll be looking for a nice new journal on Amazon after I'm done with this stream. I'm just saying. Uh, full moon is for specific spells, but that is when you'll need to that's a busy night because that's typically when you'll leave oils, your waters, your crystals, everything out in the moonlight to energize it, clean it, and whatnot. Sorry, let me get to my comments. It's a very busy night, you know, doing stuff. Uh, but yeah, do start your own book of spells. And I like to write down a quick reference for, the basic materials you commonly use in most spells, regardless. Um, and even if I would find existing spells. I still have a shit ton of books. I was a big Silver Ravenwolf fan, loved her. There's another little book I have that's like turning your ex-boyfriend into a toad and other spells. It's great. I read I can't remember who wrote it, but it's like the one book everybody starts out reading about magic, and that is with a K. So yes, definitely start your own book of shadows, as it's called. And I think I'm gonna start doing that. I feel called to do that. Um, Let me write that down so my little brain doesn't forget. And listen, we will again. This will lead closer into Hollywood symbolism, satanic shit, because he was connected to so many famous people. But we will be talking about Aleister Crowley. Get journal for Book of Shadows. So basically, your own spells are going to be more powerful, right? That doesn't mean you can't look up an existing spell as sort of like a blueprint. Think of it like a recipe, right? I always start out with the basic recipe. I'll make it and then I'll make adjustments. I want more of this. I didn't like that. I want to add this in, take this out. You know what I mean? Second, um, what was I going to say? Oh, God. My brain. Why is it like this? Book of Shadows. Realize that oh, number 2, don't fuck with love spells. Whether it's for you or somebody else, absolutely not. One thing I'm seeing are these honey jar spells, and a lot of young people, male and female alike, are very much, oh, the honey jar spell and I want this. I don't care what it is. Do not fuck with love spells. Just don't. For you or somebody else, it's again, one of my favorite movies is The Craft, and we can not that that was by any means was real, but love spells and in general, I do not believe it is right, and I do not believe in, and I always advise people against it. Any sort of spell, don't fuck with anyone's will, right? Don't mess with am I saying that right? Don't mess with people's will. Don't force somebody to love you. Don't don't fuck with that shit. Everybody has free will. Don't mess with it. Don't mess with anyone else's free will on for yourself or on behalf of somebody else. I don't care how much they're willing to pay you. Don't do it. That goes against, again, universal law, right? An example I can give you, and talking about one of the few spells I did, was I was like 21, 22 years old. I had my own little apartment. It was 2 whole rooms, and it was my first place, and I was so proud of myself. No air conditioning, no dishwater. I'm talking no dishwasher. I'm talking basic. It was basically you walked in, it was the living room, the kitchen, and my pantry, and then the next room was my bedroom, my bathroom, and I had a fabulous closet that was like a whole little room. It was great. Very proud of it. So I moved in, and the girl whose apartment I moved into actually moved upstairs. She wasn't directly above me. She was upstairs in like an apartment over in a 2 bedroom, and it was great. And I liked her, and we were kind of friends, you know, more like frenemies type thing. So this family lived in the apartment that was below her and next to me. And it was a young family, the mom, the dad. They had, I want to say he was like a toddler, between 3 and 5. Sweet, cute little boy. Always said, "Hi, ma'am. Bye, ma'am." Like, just so cute. You can tell he's being raised right. She got pregnant. And at the time this was going on, was very, very pregnant. Um, Her and her husband seemed nice, didn't really know him, whatever. Small little apartment complex. I want to say there was like 12 apartments altogether, 6 on the first floor, 6 on the top. It was owned by this one lady. She was whatever. Anywho, I worked a lot. Again, I was like 21 years old. Let me put a little music on in the background because I want to tell this story. So sorry. I understand if everybody leaves. This stream has been an absolute shit show. So, um, so I worked a lot at this time, right? I was 21, 22, living on my own. I was disabled. I opened part of the original crew of the Claim Jumper we had here, which recently closed its door. R.I.P. Claim Jumper. Okay. How's the background music? Is it okay? I don't want it to be too loud. So I was either working, because I would work a lot of doubles, because again, lived on my own, paid all my bills, I made it. I was okay. I was comfortable. The girl upstairs, we'll call her Mary, and I don't remember the couple's name. But I wasn't home a lot and had very little interaction with them. Mary wasn't, I don't know how much she was home, but I would sometimes, like, my garbage would get full, and I didn't live in like a bad neighborhood at this time, but it wasn't the greatest. And again, I was a young single girl living on my own. Our dumpster for the apartment was on like the other side away from my unit, and it had this little kind of, it had like, where they put the dumpster in, and there's like walls and the fence to kind of hide it from view, in between it being emptied. And on more than a few occasions during the day, let alone at night in the dark, I went to go throw my trash out, and there would be a dude. One time there were 2 dudes in there. Drugs were definitely, they were definitely shooting up, and I think that is not the only injection that took place back there. So there were like a couple nights here and there where my garbage was full and I was too scared to walk it over and throw it away. So I would tie it up, put it outside of my apartment door, away from the couple's door, but not too close to my other neighbor's door on the other side. I was trying to be considerate. But it was dark over by the garbage thing. I was scared. I didn't want to walk over there, right? Like, it wasn't great. My garbage was there overnight, no more than like 12 hours at the most. Because again, I waited tables. I would go out. I was a night owl. Apparently, this really enraged this woman because it came up in discussion one day. I don't know what this lady had going on in her personal life. I think she was just very stressed out, even though things between her and her husband seemed okay. She had a toddler with the baby on the way. So she's definitely very hormonal. And I remember it was hot. I want to say it was like the end of summer going into fall. So she's hot and sweaty because none of us had AC. She's very pregnant. And I don't know. Oh, yeah, it was the fall because Mary got married around my birthday. And she had a bridal shower, wedding shower, or whatever. And what sparked everything off was Mary got some sort of gift set, and it came in a basket, and there was that like straw paper like shred, in the bottom of the basket. And I watched her do this, and I was even like, why did you do that? She came outside her front door, which was in front of the bottom neighbor's door and kind of in front of my door too, and just like was dumping the leftover stuff out of these gift baskets she had gotten, like just dumping it out over the balcony. Okay, great. It's landing in front of my door and the crabby neighbor's door, right? And I'm like, girl, why are you doing this? Oh, I'm like, well, do it in a garbage bag. And I went in my house and I swept up her mess. And she came out and did it again. Whatever. I was in bed by this time. So, I never had any direct or indirect confrontations with crabby neighbor lady. I think Mary had a few. I'm not sure. But, Mary doing that set her off. And I don't fucking blame her because it fucking irritated me. But Mary was very much like the entitled girl who, mommy and daddy had paid her rent. And when she wanted a bigger house after her first house her husband bought her wasn't satisfactory anymore, she literally made her little sister buy that house. She's like, you're going to buy my house so I can buy a bigger house. And she was one of them. Yeah. So, crabby neighbor lady goes off, the next day, seeing all this, just shit out there. And I guess she thought I did it. And she's out there screaming. And I opened my door and I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't do that, but I will clean it up again. And it wasn't even really an interaction. Oh, and Mary popped her head out. And I looked up at her and gave her this look like, you bitch. I told you the first time and I cleaned it up and you did it again. And now she's mad at me. And she had that look on her face like, oops. It's like, yeah, you fucking cut. So crabby neighbor lady is just kind of going off. Not really directly at myself or Mary, but we know it is. And I'm like, I don't like this. Oh my gosh, pizza, my pizza. Share bear, hi. Did I say hi? Sorry, I'm very badly telling a story. You guys, yes, intention is everything in witchcraft, and I'm very slowly getting there. So I'll speed it up and try to get my thoughts together more, so I won't be looking at chat. Please forgive me. So, long story trying to be short, I was like, okay, this isn't cool. You know, we all have to live here. We're in close quarters. This lady seems really nice, going through a bad time. Mary's an entitled little bitch, you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. So I looked through some books I had because this was 2000, maybe even 99 or 2000. I know it wasn't 2001 yet. So yeah, I couldn't just like Google this shit or look up a YouTube video at the time yet. So I looked through some books I had, a couple of books my friends had, and I was like, ooh, I found this spell to, I forget what it was. It was like to bring peace or stop arguing. And I liked it. But again, I changed it up and I made it my own. It called for, basically it wanted you to take a pigeon feather and use some, basically like holy oil that you left out in the moonlight, and it cleaned it, blessed it, energized it with good positive energy and a couple of other things. And you took the oil, and whilst reciting the spell, marked in front of everybody's door. So I changed it up. I changed out the pigeon feather for a dove feather because my other friend that was a witch as well and practiced witchcraft had pet doves. And I was like, ooh, doves, what do they symbolize? Peace, right? I felt pulled towards that over the pigeon feather. And I know I changed up a couple other things, but this was like 20 some years ago. I can't quite remember. I just remember while doing the spell, because again, you took the feather, dipped it in the oil, right? And I had to, I forget what they wanted me to do, but we all had like the same kind of welcome mats the landlord had put out. And I just kind of like went around that. I kind of remember doing something underneath it, but I don't know. And it was oil, so it wasn't very noticeable, but it wasn't not noticeable. So I did the spell, and while I was doing the spell, again, I put up, this is not a Pipes comment. The intention is important. Intent is everything, and you need to be very, very clear when casting spells, whether quote unquote good, bad, or in between. You need to speak it, you need to think it, you need to feel it, you need to be sincere, because you can lie to other people or try to lie to yourself, but I'll tell you this, you can't lie to the universe because it's going to know what your true intention is, and it's going to follow through on that. Which is another thing I would tell people. Your intent is everything. Make your own spells, do your own book of shadows. Don't fuck with anyone's free will, especially love spells. And intent is everything. So I made it very clear while doing this spell. It was like a bring peace or whatever. Made it very, very clear. I said, I just want everybody to get along. We don't have to be best friends, but I would like to see us become friendly neighbors with respectful and civil interactions. That if one of us locks ourselves out or needs a cup of sugar, there's no hesitation to go knock on anyone's door. You know, that doesn't necessarily mean we need to go hang out at each other's places for hours every week. And I was very clear that I do not want them, like the crabby neighbors specifically. I don't want anybody to leave. I don't want anything negative or adverse to take place to anyone or in their lives. I would just like everything to become, either neutral or positive interactions and energy. But I was very, very, very clear that I don't want the crabby neighbors to have to move out. I don't want anything bad happening. And you do have to be very clear. And another thing people don't realize, which I'll share with the second spell I did that worked, you've got to, and you need to tell the universe you've got to do your fair share of the work. Whether it's needing more money and I'll pick up extra shifts. I will pick up a double at least 3 days of the week. I need the extra money. I'll put in the extra work. If you can ensure that I'll get more tips, larger tips while I am working. You've got to do your part in your share, right? So I do the spell. I'm very clear in my intent. I just want everyone to get along. I want to use the term pray, but I didn't pray. I was like, obviously crabby neighbor lady, which isn't the term I used at the time. I'm like, she's obviously off balance. She's very stressed out. Again, she must have been 7-8 months pregnant. And I could just feel it even before all this, and obviously notice and see it. She was very unbalanced, and it just, for some reason, it was very worrisome to me. It was very concerning, and I just wanted to see her in a better place. So I included that too. So I perform this spell, go work my lunch shift. I come home probably like 5:30 that night. And of course, Mary's down. I'm like, I know you did something. I can see the lines, because I don't know. This was all like fun and games to her. She's like, what did you do? I'm like, I don't know. I said, to go upstairs and eat dinner. I'll talk to you later, because I was still kind of like irritated with her. Well, lo and behold, I see Mary going upstairs, knocks on Libby's door, da-da-da-da-da. Can we talk? This, that, and the other thing. Yeah, sure. Libby comes downstairs. Libby Mary. It's fine. Libby's her real name. That's fine. I haven't talked to her in like 20 years. Libby comes downstairs with crabby neighbor lady. We all end up talking. I'm so sorry. I've been under a lot of stress, and this is why. It's nothing to do with you. I do wish you guys wouldn't do this, that, and the other thing, like me leaving my garbage outside of my front door. And I was like, do you notice I only do that like when it's really late at night? No, I just noticed your trash is out there. Okay, do you take the trash out? No, my husband does. Okay, has he ever run into the guys hiding out in there doing God knows what? Oh yeah, okay, well, I've run into them too, and it's quite scary, and I would rather not get attacked, murdered, or raped. So yeah, I set my garbage outside my door for, a little bit here and there. I don't want to keep it in my house, because yeah, it's trash. I don't want it to leak. I don't want my cats to get into it. I set it outside. I think, like, it wasn't there for date, whatever. She's like, oh, I didn't realize that. I didn't know. And then her and her husband were like, well, if I see it, I'll take it out for you. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. But like, it's not me being lazy or being an asshole. We all talked it out, is the point I'm getting to. And more importantly, she even said, like, I've just been off lately and I don't know why. And I think this helped her to balance a little bit. And again, I was willing to participate in the group conversation, and I made an effort also that if I saw my trash was getting full, I would try to take it out so I didn't have to set it outside my door. Libby, unfortunately, she improved a little bit, but still acted like the entitled little bitch that she was. So, yeah, there's a cool. All right, let's get back to the video. My brain needs a rest. Sorry, I'm so bad at telling stories sometimes. I'm really trying to work on it. I really, really am.
One thing that most Wiccans will actually consent on is their moral conduct, which is do as you want and harm none, something to that extent. My phone just died, so I can't look it up. Very short, very simple, very self-explanatory. Do the you want, just don't hurt anyone in the process. Physically, mentally, spiritual, you know. There's also the rule of three, kind of playing on the idea of karma. Everything you do will come back to you in threefold. So of course, if you're doing something bad, that will also have a hefty backlash. These two concepts often get muddled in with witchcraft, especially if you look into Facebook groups. There are often heated arguments about that you should not hex, that you should not harm, that you should not do this and that. That is a Wiccan concept that has nothing really to do with witchcraft, because witchcraft in itself doesn't follow a moral scheme. It's not a faith, a belief system. It's just a craft, so you can use it however the fuck you want. So that is just a call that a practitioner then has to make for themselves. Unless you're Wiccan, then you should stick to it, I guess. As I said, in Wicca, you have a divine masculine and a divine feminine as opposing forces in nature, sometimes referred to as the horned god and the moon goddess, but there isn't any set pantheon. So people or Wiccans might actually draw from different pantheons and just use a representation of some sort of god or goddess for their own craft. Again, this point does lead to a lot of confusions, especially since in a lot of books, Wicca and witchcraft are used interchangeably without making that actual differentiation. So a lot of beginner witches also feel they have to work with deities, or that deity worship is a part of witchcraft, which it's actually not. It's a part of paganism or a part of Wicca. Now in more recent decades, Wicca seems to have watered down a little bit more. They're more solitary, self-initiated practitioners that maybe even practice more the witchcraft side of things and not as much a strict Wiccan path or tradition. So what does Wicca have to do with witchcraft? Well, of course, that's the entire idea that it was based on of a witch coven. Its tools, rituals are designed in some sort of magic context to change energy, to shift energy. And it's also based on those folk beliefs and tradition that we can actually title folk witchcraft. As with every religious organization, there are also some less sexy sides to the coin. A lot of very interesting tidbits about the history. If you want to know all about the good, bad, and ugly of Wicca, let me know. I might make a video in the future. So what is paganism? I mean, I would really like to tell you, but as I said, my phone died and to wait until it's charged to get to my notes. But anyway, how's your coffee today? How's your day going? Hope you're doing good. Let me know in the comments. Where does the word paganism even come from? Well, it comes from paganus, Latin for villager, off the country, rural, rustic in the broadest sense of the word. And people back in the days, of course, didn't describe themselves as pagans. They just followed their old religion, the religion of their land. But that term was developed or used by the early 4th century Christians to denote everyone that practiced a religion outside Christianity. Of course, with the growth of Christianity and Christianity becoming the only accepted or right religion in Europe and enforced by the people in charge, people that still clung to old traditions, rituals, beliefs were described as pagans or heathens. And of course, it was not meant as a very nice term, because back then you could actually get prosecuted for that. The reason for that is not necessarily that you followed the wrong gods, even though that was the excuse, but it was more that Christianity was, of course, also used as a tool by the people in charge, by the rulers, by the kings, by the dukes, by the whoever, the church, to keep people in line, to keep their faith in line, to have some sort of moral upper hand or guide to suppress them with. So if you didn't prescribe to Christianity, you were in some ways also rebelling against the government. So to summarize, paganism in the traditional use of the word would mean all religions outside Christianity of the classical world, meaning ancient Greece, Rome, the Celtic, Germanic, and Slavic tribes. However, with modern day paganism, that term of paganism has widened out a little bit. Now people also use it to describe religions or belief that goes way further back into the BC years, and might even use it to describe any type of native, indigenous religion, basically of tribes and nations all over the world. Now, pagan religions obviously stem from the people that didn't have the comforts of modern day world. They worked in the fields, they had to survive on what nature provided for them. They were, of course, somewhat more in tune and observant with nature and with what's happening in nature, because this is how they assured their survival: when to plant their plants, when to harvest the crops, and so on and so forth. It's not surprising that in a lot of those pagan religions, nature does play a big role. Most of them are polytheistic, meaning they have different gods and goddesses that all have some.
That's my understanding of Wicca and witchcraft, is that it's nature based. You know, it revolves around nature. Some people I have seen even consider, especially Wicca, to essentially be that you're worshiping nature, because it, yeah, very much revolves around it. Again, you know, the cycles of the moon. When do you need to perform something to bring it to you, as to take it away, as opposed to the full moon? What do you need to gather for, you know, herbs and different accoutrements for your spells? And you always ask, you know, if I need to go get some rose petals, I'm gonna find a rose bush, and I'm going to ask, whether it's energetically, telepathically in my mind, or even out loud. You know, hi, I'm performing a spell to do this. I need 5 rose petals. May I please harvest some for you? Can I take some? And you know, it's all about respect and communication, and again, balance. Finding that balance with nature, and between you and nature. Yeah, it's actually a really beautiful thing, and it bothers me that it gets such a bad rap. But again, anything can be bad, right? Anything can be twisted, warped, used. It's all about intent. It's all about that person. And it's like in the craft, I think, is a good example of just in general, and particularly with witchcraft. When Nancy invoked Menel, you know, what's her face, Robin Tooney's character, Sarah, was like, I don't want to do that. It made her crazy. And the store owner was like, well, she takes it to a dark place. Whereas when Sarah invoked the spirit, aka in that movie known as Manel, it didn't. It brought her to her full potential of power. And I think that's a really good way to just, you know, kind of show it's all about intent. It's all about that person, where they take it and what they do with it.
Sort of function, a lot of them revolving obviously around agriculture, harvest, fertility, but also phenomenons in weather or in just a general natural world: the moon, storms, thunder, the water, the ocean. A lot of pagan religions observed lunar festivals. I spoke about the 8 Sabbaths before, which were celebrated in Europe in all the countries under different names, obviously, but around the same time of year with a similar symbolism. And I do make vlogs for everyone in case you're interested to learn a little bit more about the history of them. Now, modern day paganism or neo-paganism does look a little bit different. Of course, you have pagan reconstructionism, meaning that people try to figure out how our forefathers, our ancestors, have practiced their religions based on historic finds, archaeological finds, cultural anthropology, and written documents from observers, which unfortunately most of the times were also intruders or missioners to that country. So we have to read with caution here. They try to reconstruct rituals, way of life, beliefs, festivities, and so on. Of course, we will never get to the realistic, true core on how something was celebrated, first of all, because it was probably very different from region to region. And secondly, we're just lacking enough evidence. So what modern pagans do is usually work with the information they have, sometimes prescribing to one pantheon, sometimes prescribing to multiple pantheons, either worship gods, work with seasonal festivities, or do a modern interpretation of some practices. For example, let's take runes. Back in the days, runes were just a scriptive device, that's how you call it. Like we use the alphabet now basically, and nowadays people use runes for divination purposes, which is a modern interpretation of an old instrument. There are many flavors of modern day paganism out there. Hellenism, heathens, which is more the Germanic prescribed part of paganism. Discordianism, modern day druidism. Wicca is also part of paganism as it derived from different old pagan beliefs and ideas. Celtic Reconstructionist paganism, the Roman polytheistic type of paganism, the Slavic native faith, many, many more. A word on that when jumping into your research with paganism or joining online groups, be aware that there's a heavy right-wing issue, racist issue in the pagan community, especially when you look into Germanic paganism and Norse paganism. A lot of people use it as an excuse to be absolute dickheads and just in general unpleasant beings without any true notion of history or actual knowledge. I mean, it all started with Hitler trying to bring back the old religion to Germany by using certain words, certain Germanic words, and of course also using the runes, the different type of inscriptions for their signs and for their propaganda. And yeah, some people are still clinging on to that idea and took it over the pond to spread their hate all over the world. But here we only do unicorns and sunshine and marshmallows. So what has paganism to do with witchcraft? In theory, not much, because a pagan practitioner might not practice witchcraft, they might just worship the gods, for example. However, since paganism also lives from folk practices that can be titled as witchcraft, some pagan practitioners also practice witchcraft. They might call it witchcraft, or they might just see it as part of their pagan path. And I mean, that definition is really up to everyone if they want to call themselves a witch or not. Let's see, did I forget anything?
Aww.
I don't think so. I hope I made it a little bit clearer for you. If you have any more questions, please let me know. And I'm gonna see you very soon with a wonderful magical vlog. Goodbye.
I love her. She's adorable. She's so cute. Please, 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 please subscribe to let me get, again, her link is in my previous live stream. Let me get to her channel because I really like her. I will be watching more of her videos for sure. Okay, let me get there. And then again, the channel name is called The Witch's Cookery. And all right, copy link. And here is a link to her channel. Please be sure to subscribe. So let me tell you the story about I still can't believe history knocked me down. I mean, I can, but also fuck them. Okay, so I think I did 3 spells. I don't know. So the second spell I did, right? Again, intention is everything. Writing your own spells are much more powerful. And you've got to put in the work for it. The second spell I did was because I needed a new car. The car I had, which was my very first car, which I paid $250 for flat. I don't want to go into. I needed a new car, right? I was without automobile, which was fine. I took the bus to work. Somebody was always willing to give me a ride home. Between my parents and my friends, somebody was always able to, hey, I'm going grocery shopping. Do you want to come with? Yeah, sure. I had a washer and dryer in my apartment building. It was great. But I wanted a little car to get around. I couldn't. I was 21, living on my own, just starting to build my credit. And even though I got by okay paying my bills and such, I couldn't down payment for a car payment, it would have been sketchy at best. And I remember being like, oh, that Kia brand, and my brother was like, it's not safe. And now I own a Kia Sorento, and it's like one of the safest cars on the road. Anywho, Jasper's still in here. I can see his little footsies under the bed. Oh my God, I love him so much. Okay. So I did a spell, and I can't remember exactly what the spell consisted of. And I think it might have been a general spell. Like, bringing something to you that you want. So I performed this spell, and I remember just putting out into the universe and saying, okay, it's been 3 months. I really need and would really like another car. I don't know how that's going to happen. And sometimes I would just talk while I was performing spells. Like I was just talking to a friend. Like I kind of do when I'm live streaming. I'm so all over the place, but hey, it's me. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm a hot mess, and that's why everybody loves me. So I performed the spell, but the thing that sticks out the most is acknowledging this is what I need. I'm not sure how I'm going to attain the car. I was very clear in saying, I certainly don't need, and I actually don't want anything flashy. I said just something that I can get to and from work, drive around, Reno, just to and from work, do some laundry or grocery shopping, meet a friend for dinner, blah, blah, blah. Maybe drive out to Fernley and see my parents, just basic, fairly safe, fairly good gas mileage, reliable. That's it. Nothing fancy. I said, I don't know how I'm going to attain this, but if you bring it to me, if you bring to me what I am in need of and what I'm requesting, I will put in the work. I will work a double shift, at least twice, if not 3 times a week, because I was young and healthy and strong and did not have any back injuries at this time. I was buffed. And I said, I will, I think I missed 2 days of work in the 3 or 4 years I was at Claim Jumper. Anywho, I was like, I'll work doubles. I will work my ass off 10 times as hard during that shift. I'll be 5 times as nice, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I will not go out to dinner as much. I'll cook at home in order to save money, blah, blah, all this stuff. Like, here's what I'm going to do. If you bring this to me, here's what I'm going to do to also attain said thing, the car. So I do the spell. Can't for the life of me remember anything about the spell, but I remember saying these things and meaning it. And there was a 2-week period after doing it. Nothing happened. And sometimes it takes a while. Things aren't going to be instantaneous. I think with the crabby neighbor spell, it happened right away because there was a lot of energy there swirling around, and it was very intense energy that I think could have gone wrong very quick. I kind of hate to say this, but crabby neighbor lady seemed like one of these people you'd see on Snapped. Her husband didn't wipe up the crumbs from making a sandwich one day, so she stabbed him in the face 10 times. Like she very much gave off that energy. And with the car spell, I didn't expect things to be, instantaneous. I figured it, at least 2 weeks to a month before any results. And it took 2 weeks for anything to happen. And I think that was, just say the universe, checking to see if I was indeed going to hold up my end of the bargain. And yes, indeed, I did. And then some. 2 weeks to the day, almost the hour of performing that spell, I got a phone call. And it was from my boyfriend at the time, who ended up becoming my future ex-husband. Called me and said, "Hey girl, so this was his friend, my future ex-husband's friend, had a little sister. She was like 18 or 19 at the time this happened. She and it was a stick shift, right? It was a manual transmission, which theoretically I knew how to drive, but hadn't ever really drove. Like I knew, but I didn't know, but I knew. So anywho, the parents call me and they're like, "Hey, our daughter rear-ended a car. Like it was enough to set off the airbag and like push up the hood. And they had taken it to a mechanic, and the mechanic said like the frame was fine and everything. It was, I guess, mainly cosmetic, but to reset the airbag and fix the hood was like more than they were willing to spend on it." And I want to say like this guy's dad he was like an attorney, or they had money. They had fucking money. And I guess they had heard through the grapevine I was in need of a vehicle. And so we agreed on that I would purchase said vehicle from them. They provided proof of the mechanic saying, yeah, it's safe to drive, everything, blah, 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 whatever. Because, like, is the frame bent? All that stuff. And I'm like, wait, is my chat working? I'm like, oh, wait, no one's chatting. It's okay. It's all right. I wouldn't even be watching me if I were you guys. So, I said, yeah, okay, cool, I'll buy it. We agreed on a price of $1,000. I would pay them $200 a month. It could be in one check or like $100, $200 every other, or like $100 every check. And it worked out, and I think I actually paid it off like in 5 months. No. 5 times 2 is 1,000. Yeah, I paid it off in like the 5 months or whatever. Maybe 4. I don't know. I was like, I just want to get this paid off. And so there was my car. It's there. And that was one of the 2 spells I ever did. Or 3. I can't remember what the third one was. I think I did 3. I don't know. Either I didn't or it wasn't that important. But yeah. So I'm bummed we didn't get to watch that History Channel video, but oh well. So basically, yeah. Don't even know that we really touched on what witchcraft is, or so be it. Hey Strange, how you doing? Welcome in. No, you guys are fine. Listen, even if nobody was here, I would literally sit and talk to myself for hours. Just because I'm usually doing that by myself anyway in my daily life. So yeah, I would say witchcraft, Wicca is I would like to describe it as using your own energy and power to attain, accomplish, aid via spell work, whatever that may be, whatever that looks like for you, to attain goals, objects, and whatnots, whether it's peace among yourself and other neighbors, whether it's a car. Don't write your own book of shadows, book of spells. Don't do any sort of fucking love spells. Do not ever fuck with another person's free will, and don't do it for yourself. Don't do it on behalf of anybody. You would be surprised how many requests I had gotten. And when I talk about, I don't do it anymore, but I guess between my experience and that and my perceived, I don't know what people think. Maybe because I'm confident in talking about my psychic abilities, quote unquote. The request, oh, blah, 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 can you do this love spell for me? And I'm like, hell no. And if you find anybody that says yes, I guarantee they're going to grift you. You're going to pay thousands of dollars for something that A, isn't going to work, or B, if it does, you're going to regret it. Don't fucking do love spells. Don't mess with another person's free will, and make your intent very, 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 very fucking clear. Make your intent clear. Have good intent and intentions, and you've got to put your side. You got to put your work into it. Can't sit there and fucking do a spell. I need money for my power bill. I need $600 for my light bill. And then do a spell and sit there and expect it just to come. No. You better have a fucking yard sale. You better put an ad on the Nextdoor app, which I deleted and took off on my phone because I got scolded in a DM by one of the neighborhood leads. I was like, fuck you. What a bitch. You better, have a yard sale, put an ad on Nextdoor or Facebook and say, hey, if anybody needs your house cleaned, your lawn mowed, I'm trying to do odd jobs in an effort to come up with the $600 for my light bill. I'd appreciate any opportunity to earn a couple bucks. Please let me know. Know your crystals, take care of your crystals, whatever magic you're going to practice, educate yourself about it first. I was able to do so, and literally all I had were books back in the day. Now there's so many forms, there's Reddit, there's YouTube, there's Instagram has a whole side to it. And even then, use your discernment. If something seems a little off, or I've seen on Instagram, there's a lot of quote unquote witches that are actually very dark and negative, but they try to portray themselves as like positive and light and like, oh, I'm not doing bad things. No, you are. It's like how should I say this? I don't know. It's like a very popular streamer that actually is kind of fucking shady and does some like questionable stuff, but it would be excused because it's like, well, but they did this nice thing, or they did this good thing. I mean, how many times have we seen that on YouTube? It's like, ooh, that's questionable, but then they'll do whatever. Oh, I went and saw a dying kid from Make-A-Wish. And then everyone's like, yeah, it's kind of sketchy that they were, that they did this thing, or yeah, they're kind of rude and judgmental and paranoid, and something just seems off about what they do and the timing of it. But they did the Make-A-Wish, the Make-A-Wish thing for the dying kid, so we're just gonna look the other way about it. Yeah. Oh, I love a metaphysical bookstore, Strange. I like Amazon's great and whatnot. Yeah, I spend a lot of time in them's. Yeah, tell me tomorrow, because I'm gonna jump off here. And be careful with sigils, Strange. Be careful with sigils. That's all I'm gonna say on it. From my experience, be very. I would actually say, I personally will not fuck with sigils. I won't. But you do you. It's all right, MCM. Yeah, we've been here since 7:35, and I actually started a little bit late because, I'm a rude asshole because I honked my horn to get out of my handicap spot, which is in like the fucking corner, because my neighbor was having a baby shower, and her friend and her husband decided it was a good idea to essentially double park. So I literally couldn't get out of my spot. But I'm rude because I honked. Yeah. I'll be texting the unit owner again tomorrow because I'm done with his tenants. And next time, you know what? I'm not going to honk. I'm just going to call and have you towed. Because I don't want to be rude. So there is replay gang. The first stream got hit and taken down. Because History Channel, fuck you, History Channel, rude. So yeah, my pain level's high. I need to go take an Advil and a muscle relaxer. I need to eat something else. I skipped dinner because of the time I was starting, but I sure do appreciate all of you being here, whether you stuck it out with me from the messy ass beginning. I'm looking at you, Kat. You're amazing. Thank you so much. Or even if you came in late. Regardless, please be sure to leave a thumbs up. Come back and leave a comment. If you're replay gang, let me know. And yeah, I'm gonna go work on weekly recap tomorrow, which I'm not quite sure what time of day I'm gonna be doing it. Depending on what time I get up and how I feel, it might be 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It could be 1 p.m. or later. I am going to be covering more than just Amberlynn and Chantel, because there's more going on out there than Amberlynn and Chantel. And if it puts a target on my back with certain people, oh fucking well. If I'm doxxed or anything happens, I'm the perfect example of no, you do go in real life, and no, you're actually a piece of shit. So yeah, that's that. Again, I am a gun owner, and if anybody wants to dox me and or come to my house for malicious reasons, yeah, I live in the state of Nevada, and I actually know my laws, Nags. I actually know my laws. Castle Doctrine is not at all what you think it is. You fucking dolt. You are an idiot. You are an absolute potato. I'll leave it at that. So, but you want to tune in because I'm doing a giveaway. I'm doing a little giveaway, just a tiny little giveaway, but I will announce it during the Gore World stream tomorrow. Sorry about the stream getting hit and getting taken down. But this is just like, Witchcraft, Wicca 101. I'm going to try to kind of reiterate in the beginning of the next stream about this, because I also want to cover offshoots and other subtopics Wednesday's stream, again, Fridays are going to be longer, quote unquote, more in depth, talking more, blah, blah, blah. Wednesdays are going to be a bit shorter, maybe more abstract subjects. Wednesday, I'm going to talk about the Tuskegee experiment. If you don't know about the Tuskegee experiment, yeah, definitely tune in. Share Bear, which one? There's been a couple, but yeah, I don't know. There's a lot going on. I am tired. I'm getting emotional and crabby and in pain. So I'm going to yeet myself out of here. Again, I appreciate everybody who showed up. Appreciate you. Love you so much. I will be back here tomorrow, though, for weekly recap. I'm going to actually go work on some videos for that and whatnot. Please, I'll go out, support any other creators if you're going to stay up that late. If anyone else is streaming, we love to see it. And thank you so much. I will, for sure, see you guys back here tomorrow. And I'm just going to repeat myself. I'm a hot mess. I might just go to bed. Appreciate you so much. Okay, love you guys. Bye.